You are. I'm now eating chocolate, so am I live on the internet?
Lose 10 hit points. Yeah.
I'm live. Okay, apparently I'm live and the show's starting, but my mouth is full of chocolate. So, yeah, it's been a very professional day today. Hello, welcome to Adventurers Wanted. Yay! I can't find my script. Okay, my name is Chris. I will professionally be DMing you for the next hour and the remaining 3 hours of today. We run from 10:30 till 2:30, so if you enjoy what you're seeing, do stick around. You are in hour 89 of Adventurers Wanted, which means we are 89 hours into a 100-hour story. So yeah, we are very much in the end game. That also means that you guys may not have caught up on what is going on, and that's totally fair. I will try and elaborate as we go through the show what is happening in great detail so that even those who are uninitiated will have a better idea of what's happening. But that does mean if at any point during the show any of you are there going, I don't know what's going on, I'm so confused, please help me out, feel free to shout from the audience something to that effect. In fact, let's try it. 1, 2, 3, what? 1, 2, 3... What? There we go. Lovely. We do have a relaxed attitude to sound and movement in the audience, as we are technically a relaxed performance. The lighting will stay exactly the same way as it is now, and if you need to pop out for any reason, the doors to your left lead out into a foyer space where a Sweet Company member wearing a red or black Sweet t-shirt will happily assist you in whatever you need. If you need assistance in the room, our stage manager Nemo is right there. They're giving you a wave now. And they will happily assist you with anything in the room. Just catch the row, give them a nod, and they'll come over and see what's up. We also have our BSL interpreter, Isla, who's joining us for 10:30 today. Can I give her a big round of applause, please? Thank you. Isla is live interpreting in BSL what we improvise. In D&D terms, which don't exist in normal BSL. So there's quite a lot of work happening there, which is really hugely appreciated in expanding our audience beyond what you would describe as a normal D&D audience. So, what are we doing? We are playing Dungeons & Dragons. Is everyone here relatively familiar with what that means? I see nods in the room, that's great. Just in case, feel initiated, the 4 people to my left and right play characters in a shared fantasy universe, and I play the rest of the fantasy universe. So everything they encounter, everything they're dealing with, horrific time travel events, which seem to have a lot of this year. Yeah, I'll be handling all of those on their behalf. They have character sheets in front of them, which mean they can add maths to dice rolls. We tend to use a d20 for 90% of dice rolls. So that means a 20-sided dice. A 1 result is particularly awful. A 20 is particularly brilliant. Please feel free to boo and or cheer, depending on how you feel about the given character at the given time. Let's meet everyone who we're playing with today. It's a very good place to start. So, my name is Chris, I'm your DM, and I use he, him pronouns. Can we go around the table, and can you please give your name, your pronouns, your character's name, their pronouns, and a little bit about them? Maybe what they look like, so people can draw a nice picture in their brains.
Hi everyone, my name is Catherine. I use she, her pronouns. So does my character
Dottie Hearthfire. A lovely little, well, 8
Not
foot.
little at all, yeah.
Dragonborn druid who runs a lovely little tavern, has taken up embroidery, baking, many hobbies, including establishing a postal system and some greater infrastructure to the local economy.
It's not local anymore, Dottie, but we'll get there.
Oh.
Go for it.
Would this new economy like a postal system?
I'm going to murder you.
I am Tyrone. I use he, him pronouns. My character is Kawhi, also uses he, him pronouns. Kawhi is a small, very tan dwarven barbarian who likes to carry 2 hand axes together and is like very, very hairy, and it's very, because the whole dwarven heritage, very, very proud of his hair and just lets it keep growing out. It's messy as hell. It's full of lots of dirt in it, but he's okay with it.
And what pronouns do you use?
He, him.
Lovely, thank you.
Hi, I'm G. I use he, him pronouns. My character is Harvey, also he, him. Harvey is an Aarakocra, which means he's a bird person. He's about 5 feet tall, looks very parrot-like with blue and yellow plumage. He also has burned into his feathers a blue paw print from when he was saved by the spirit of a dwarven barbarian.
Ooh.
I mean, that happened about 70 hours ago, right? Like,
Yeah. That was a while back.
That was a long time ago, but it's still there. Have you used it at all?
I used it once.
Used it once? Last time. The paw print gives him some barbarian abilities, but very limited barbarian abilities because OP. John.
Oh, and I'm John. he, him pronouns.
Thank you.
I'm playing Branor, who is also he, him.
Thank you.
Branor is the Ross Kemp of half-orc paladins.
I can see
You know,
that.
he is.
I can see it.
He's basically like a lovable, comfortable, murderous policeman. He's very good. He's very very loyal and likes nothing more than locking people up or killing them if they're bad, but only if they're bad.
I am looking forward to this hour.
Oh my.
Just to be clear, of course, accents are appreciated if you so choose to. Obviously, Kath goes in with Dottie in quite a strong way, but you don't have to if you don't want to.
It's not Catherine.
Ross
I've taken over her body.
D&D is not creepy. Good. Right. Let me try and catch up on the story, and again, please feel free to jump in at any point because I'm trying to condense 88 hours of plot. Right. We are in a clockwork universe. Good start. It is called the Nexus. The walls, ceiling, floor, all of it, whirs, clicks, ticks. If it helps your mental image at all, no one can stand still in the Nexus because the floor is constantly moving. The only still point that people have noticed is a gigantic green crystal. It is so big that it tends to take up part of a wall or something similar. The crystal itself appears to be slightly murky. There is a strange ore growth either around it, like it's been sort of taken over by the rock around, or cutting through it, like a sort of snaking line inside the crystal. It's imperfect. This ore is one of the reasons why our characters are here. They were part of a rebellion on their own plane of existence, which had to deal with a cult of an ancient evil elder god that turned up and destroyed everything and then left them enslaved. This ore they were asked to mine out of the ground, and it appears to be a sort of cosmic through line. There's some connection between the ore, the crystal itself. It apparently has more to do with a multiverse through line than it does with anything too much about their own home plane, as far as they know. At this point, they have travelled from their world to here to try and stamp out the cult and get rid of them from across the entire multiverse, and this appears to be the hub of where the cult's activities are. There is also another cult who seem to worship a completely different god. If you imagine the negative cult as green and the positive cult as yellow, that's quite useful. The yellow cult want to purify the crystal, appear to have a much more positive bent, and the rebellion, what's left of it, have been working to help purify this crystal. The process of which I will explain as part of as we get through it in the story, but if at any point you're going, what the hell's going on, as we said before, leap in. Is that a good starting point? Everyone's sort of au fait? Yep. Grand. That's a lot happened. Good, lovely. In which case, Nemo, can I have some music leading us in, please? That clockworky, backgroundy sort of mysterious thing we've had for the last couple of sessions works quite well.
I think that's a flowy one, the clockwork.
Okay, well, just the mysterious is fine, don't worry.
Inexorable is a bit clockworky, weirdy. Okay.
Please ignore the voice beyond the curtain.
Oh my god, a ghost.
A ghost! Lovely. So, the four of you, as part of the rebellion, as part of this movement out of your own plane of existence to here, are in this nexus working with this yellow cult to purify the crystal that makes up part of the wall of this rather large room. We haven't spoken to some of you since you were taken from Deriland, looking at you particularly, Dottie. You had the choice between staying in Deriland and coming out and helping.
Oh, did I?
You did, and coming and helping with the rest of the rest of your rebellion to stamp out this cult. Could you give us some of your reasoning as to why you came with and didn't stay behind?
Oh, I literally don't know. I had a very nice boat. I could have stayed on that.
You could have.
I suppose I'm just really, really passionate about helping my community.
And there is indeed a community of your rebellion here.
Really, really passionate.
There was also some hint, which we haven't quite established yet, that if you didn't help, the cult would be back. So, maybe that was part of your reasoning, I don't know. Harvey, have you been inside the clockwork machinery before? Have you been here before?
Yes, I was part of the team that was... There was a priest high priest type
Yes, there was.
of the cult that we chased through various
Planes of existence,
and
including
portals.
here, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went through the clockwork.
So
nemesis.
you've been here before. You know where you're at. Great. And obviously, our two player tickets. You're relatively new to this, so we'll guide you in. That's fine. Well, the four of you are with the rest of your rebellion forces. You are outside of this crystal, standing near it, getting used to the floor, slowly ticking around with you on it. So probably sort of constant little side steps to stay in the same sort of place. The remaining of the yellow cultists are working on some machinery that attaches directly to the crystal. You could be assisting them if you want. They are clearly trying to make this machinery that attaches to the crystal ready for a copper suit that you have seen walking around that they have been trying to animate, that apparently is the key to purifying this crystal. Do you think you guys will be helping with the construction of this machinery?
This is all a little bit complicated for me.
Maybe you're providing everyone with tea and biscuits.
Oh, there's tea and biscuits in this universe. Well, that's why I came.
I think if you brought tea and biscuits, there would be tea and biscuits, but otherwise, this is a clockwork universe. There are no animals here.
I'm not a fan, I have to say. This is a very unwelcoming aesthetic.
You think you're providing some care for everyone?
Yeah.
What would you be doing as your other allies are presumably either watching or helping with this construction?
Hello. Would you like some freshly brewed tea?
Yeah, thanks, Dottie. I've been helping with the construction, specifically high up stuff that I can fly to get to. But yeah, come and land and have some tea.
I've been probably giving a couple of shady comments with the whole dwarven background. It's this isn't how we make stuff here. We make stuff a little bit better than this, a little bit higher quality than this. And I'm helping, but very
So you're sort of looking over the shoulder of some of the cultists going,
a little bit, yeah. It's so especially because I'm looking messy as hell. There's a couple of looks back at me. It's you're kind of giving us advice. Yeah, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm not helping. I'm just going to watch back and I'm making lots of scraps. No, don't do. Okay.
Can you roll me just an intelligence check? Roll a d20,
this
add
is
your
not gonna-
flat intelligence
This
modifier.
is not going to go well. That is an 8.
An 8. Despite the fact that you've never seen this kind of clockwork before, coming from a non-mechanically sound universe, you are basically thinking that you know.
Yeah.
Roll me, It's your choice which charisma check you use. It could be intimidation, it could be persuasion, it could be performance. What do you
So
think?
none of those are good, but let's go for intimidation. 'Cause
Intimidation.
That works for the whole barbarian-ness. As 11 minus 1.
A 10.
Yeah.
You stand next to one of the yellow and white robed cultists. He, much like yourself, is quite short, quite gruff. He's not a dwarf, but he's very clearly got smithy experience using a hammer to hammer things into the wall. And you leaning in occasionally, sort of, can I help you?
I'm just watching. In interesting technique.
What you saying?
No. Interesting technique.
He sort of stops him.
It works. It works.
Have you got a better idea?
No, I'm just admiring. It's different to how we do it. I appreciate seeing different
Looks
cultures.
up at different people around and looks back and goes, to be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. I got told to hammer this thing into this wall, that's what I'm doing. If you've got any advice, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Have you tried hitting it harder?
There's a little sort of bouncing around, there's a lot of energy, and suddenly the kind of loud noise where everyone suddenly stops and turns, looking at you two. Sorry. Goes back to hitting it lightly, giving you a little look of screw you, man. Branor, what is your part of this activity?
Well, I'm more than happy to be lifting heavy objects, really.
Right.
You know, it's a clockwork thing with gears. They fit together in some way. Don't quite know how they fit together.
You and a couple of the other rebellion forces are doing some of the heavy lifting, because these
Yeah.
cultists are all relatively weedy. between you. Roll me a.
It looks nice, anyway.
Roll me an athletics check, please. It's 20 sided. Athletics modifier.
18.
18. Some of the other rebellion, there are quite a few dwarven barbarians around, are coming over to give you a hand. You sort of give them a look, just a little bit of like the eyes close a bit, and you just pick up a gigantic cog entirely by yourself and just walk over and affix it to where some cultists are working. And behind you there is a very quiet sort of.
I hope this is where it goes.
A cultist next to you sort of sidles up and looks and goes,
Over there then.
and
Thank
it
you.
goes off again. So all of you are assisting with this.
Very kind.
As you do, the current leader of the cult, a man called Pancus, is at the back speaking to Simon and Wisatris. Simon was the leader of your rebellion back in Deriland, the country that you're from. He came from the town of Holmwood, which was the first town that got freed by the rebellion. A rather lovely, just a bog-standard humanoid chap, but unfortunately he died as part of the fighting and has been placed inside some horrible spiky plate armor that is keeping him alive.
Oh,
Okay.
that's not natural.
No, not at all. Not even slightly. And the elven wizard Wisatris, who is a very old, quite diffident elf, it's quite hard to pin her down. They are chatting to Pancus about the process. You're all welcome to approach and listen in if you'd like, or join in the conversation. That's entirely up to you.
Hello.
Hello, Dottie, it's good to see you.
That's
Simon.
very, very lovely to see. I mean, you sound a bit peaky.
It's because I'm dead, Dottie. I'm being held alive by this suit.
I mean, that's not an ideal condition to be in.
No, but my position was required.
Would you like some freshly brewed tea?
I don't eat.
I mean, that's probably for the best. It's not freshly brewed. It's been in a flask for maybe 3 months. Who knows at this point?
To be honest, I can't taste anymore, so I wouldn't know.
What? So no home baking?
It is the same for me as eating ash.
No roast dinners?
Dottie, I don't mean to be too graphic, but there's nowhere for it to go.
What a terrible fate!
I'm also dead, but that's fine, yes.
At this point, I'd probably come over and I'd ask for a bit of tea, but also be admiring the armor. It's like, sorry to interrupt him.
No. They're talking about very serious plot things we'll get back to. What would you like to know?
Yes, home baking.
I'm just really fascinated by the armor. Like, who? I'm sorry for your condition, obviously.
Do you remember the leader of the cults back on our home plane, Lady Mizoth? She was also undead and held together by this armor. Wisatris placed me within it after I died.
Generally speaking, when I'm in a rage, I kind of don't know what's going on.
I see.
just hit stuff, so I'm not paying attention to that stuff. I just know that I was hitting stuff. It fell over and didn't get back up. I'm glad you got back up. That was good.
I am glad as well for what my service can offer, although having a strong emotional reaction feels very odd.
Odd is good. Odd is alive.
Yes, odd is alive.
I just realized you're not alive. This is
To a certain degree.
your. This is good tea.
In the meantime, Wisatris and Pancus, the cult leader, he is the cult leader because the remainder of this cult, quite a few of them, about 2/3 of them, their souls were absorbed into this copper suit that some of your party are going to currently find, which was yesterday's adventure. I'm not going to go into too much detail about, but they are returning. And this copper suit, about 7 foot tall, now holds the personalities of about roughly 15-20 people,
Oh my. Sounds like a crowded house.
including a 7-year-old girl who appears to be somewhat in charge.
What's she called?
Copper. But yes, Pancus was one of the cultists who did not decide to step into the suit first time round, so is here at this point. I think it is fair to say that we will complete the fixing of this when your allies return with the suit. At least that is my intention. Lovely. And this will purify the crystal? I believe so, yes. It will require a lot of manpower, but those of us that remain should be able to operate the machinery while the suit does its job. If we need assistance, will some of your people be able to help? I presume so. If necessary, I will come with you. This appears to be more my area of expertise. Turns and looks at you around. We've come through a lot since Deriland, and your presence here, as always, is appreciated.
Our presence is necessary, though.
It is, yes. Some did not think so. They have not joined us. Those of you that have... Once this crystal is purified, as I understand it, it will be able to be used to create portals again, thus allowing us, if necessary, to return home.
That sounds nice.
But returning home is not the most important thing.
It is to me. My tavern will be in disarray. Those orphans will be running around causing a muck.
I'm sure Tristan, who I'm pretty sure you left in charge, will be doing a fantastic job.
I know, but he's just a boy.
As I understand it, he's a rather tall boy, so maybe he will have authority over the others.
Are you saying size matters?
Of course not. My apologies. How rude of me. Those of you who may not wish to return, or who may feel that once this is complete, we can use it to wipe out the cult around the rest of the multiverse, I would be honored to have you by my side. I will not be returning until my job is done. Neither will Simon.
The matters of a tavern are surely small in comparison with being able to save the entire multiverse from a group of evildoers who would wish harm on many, 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 many worlds.
That is my thought as well.
As he says this, and I noticed Dottie's reaction, Harvey just kind of like really slowly backs away.
I kind of like sit down with my team, just like intensely watching, just watching between them.
As you are chatting, this room is quite large. It is about 100 foot across, but it's very hard to gauge in terms of length or width because it's all made of clockwork and it tends to move around a little bit. There are also no doors. What happens is various bits of clockwork move out of the way of what looks like a gangplank that could be walked along, but as we have discussed before, anyone going into this area and not having an incredible knowledge of how it works would get lost incredibly easy, as the gravity and physics beyond most of these rooms tend to go a little non-Euclidean, i.e. not your traditional up-down flat rate. Out of one of these, a member of the cult, some of you have met before, called Nerisaga, who appears to be the cult's main sort of scout and eyes and ears in the Nexus, runs in behind and starts whispering into Pancas's ear, and he looks rather concerned.
Can I try and listen?
Of course. Make a perception check, please. 11. She's talking about the other cult, but in detail you can't get it. Pancas turns to the group, you guys plus Simon Sartris. It appears the other cult is starting to return on the lower level. I don't know what they want, but as I understand from Rust, the man who used to be in charge of this cult and is now inside the suit that is currently being retrieved, there was some arrangement between our cult and theirs about the purification of the crystal I am unsure of.
Arrangement?
Apparently they also wanted purified. It is our main holy goal to purify this crystal, and many thanks for your assistance and for driving the other cult away. The god they worship is antithetical to our own. But I am not pleased with the idea of them being here when we are so close to completing our task.
Because once the crystal is purified, they could use it to destroy everything rather than help everything. So
This appears
both
to be the
sides
case.
wished it purified.
This does make sense, yes. It's not just things to the four of you. I think it would behoove us to have a better understanding of what is happening. Do you believe the four of you might be able to go and investigate?
Yes, we shall go and we shall remove their limbs until they tell us the answer.
Or we could have a little chat with them, and maybe we could all purify the crystal together, and then we could chat with them and explain why we don't want to do bad things, and then maybe they'll agree and we can all be friends.
I think that's what I said.
The Cyclist nods quietly. As always, your methods are your own. I would prefer if these followers of an elder evil were not let anywhere near the work we're doing here, but I do understand the necessity for compromise.
So we're having a conversation with them.
Yes, a lovely conversation. I'll
No.
get out the best shot. Right.
That is fine. They do not require legs in order to be able to have a conversation.
Creepy but true. Right, Nerisaga doesn't tend to speak very much, looks at you and... Follow. Okay. And she scampers off and you can all easily follow after her down these gear corridors. What order are you following her in?
I'll be taking the back and just like guard in that sense.
Okay, rear guard for Kawaii.
How big are these corridors? I know you said they shift around and gravity's all weird and everything.
They're roughly 5 foot wide by 10 foot tall, like a normal corridor.
Okay.
Because, screw it, man.
Make way for Dottie.
Who is going first?
I'll go first.
Thank you very much, Breno.
I'll go second.
Well,
Harvey.
I guess that leaves me third.
Thank you very much, Dottie. So, Brano, ahead of you, Nerisaga is up ahead. You see she is trying to be quiet and creeping low to the ground. You could try and do the same if you so choose.
Oh no.
She looks back at you. Quiet.
Shield, sword, boots, half-orc. Paladin. I'll try.
Make a stealth check. With disadvantage, you're wearing heavy armor. So roll twice and take the lower number.
Okay. 3.
3! On a 1 to 20 scale, you rolled a 3. Splendid. Harvey, you trying to be stealthy?
Yeah. 12.
Dottie, you trying to be stealthy?
I'm not very good at it, but I'll do my best. Oh, that's a 4.
For Kawaii?
Yeah. That is actually an 18.
Where'd he go? Friend!
That small.
You've got some hair caught in one of the gears.
I know, but I just turn around and look over you.
Because you're about, what, 5 foot tall? You're about 7 foot tall? That makes sense. Good. You're making your way down this corridor, not particularly stealthily. Unsurprisingly. Ahead of you, some of you have been in this space before, is a space within that opens out into a large room, much like the one you were in beforehand. There is a part of the crystal jutting into this room, but as you've seen before, this part of the crystal is very much calcified into the ore. It is not easily accessible, and also is not, as you can see, taking up a huge amount of this room. There is a large circular cog in the center of this room. You are coming out onto a sort of balcony level area looking down on it. And as you step out and look down, before you, you can see... Perception checks, please, from all 4 of you.
Oh,
21.
6.
14.
16.
The 2 of you can see in front of you there are a lot of cultists with the green and purple robes. A lot.
Are they the bad ones?
Yes, the bad ones. There are... I mean, you can't tell from this height, but 100, a couple more than 100, seems about right. They are currently working their way around a gigantic, hulking machine. You don't know what it is. You've never seen anything like it before in your life. If you had to guess, you'd say its use would be presumably either in a field of war to work as a gigantic war machine, or it could have mining properties or something like that. You don't
Mining?
know.
If it's mining, can I roll to see if I know that?
I mean, you are a dwarf, so stone cutting is with intelligence check, please. You roll it twice, take the higher number. I think. No, you add a number. Doesn't matter. Roll it twice, take the higher number. Doesn't matter.
Intelligence, yeah.
Yes, please.
Then straight 14.
14. This machine is designed to strip mine.
This machine is designed to strip mine.
I thought we all agreed that mining wasn't a very nice thing to do.
What's strip mining?
Nerisaga looks at you all. Is it safe to presume that this is the machine that will be destroying your world? If they open the portal, then they can go through with it and burn everything down.
I'm not the smartest guy here, but that kind of makes sense to me.
Oh dear.
That's fine. Let's go and destroy it.
Can you make an intelligence check, please? Renault.
3.
3. Yep. Even with your limited intelligence, you know that this room is probably beyond you to hack your way through, and that machine is beyond you to destroy by yourself. Looking down in the room, you see also some of these twisted, perverted bodies that they have created around them. Not the Gru-like creatures you found on your homeworld that are perverted by the ore, but the creatures that appear twisted by the sheer nature of magic itself that seem to exemplify rather terrible human traits. Big gaping mouths or multiple bickering heads. They do look humanoid, but they look horribly disfigured.
Oh no, they don't seem to be happy.
Who rolled the highest? Was it 21 for you?
Yeah.
Floating above all this, overlooking and overseeing as cultists scrabble to build, complete this machine, is a creature the likes of which you've never seen before. It's a big spherical body, mouth underneath. It appears to have sort of tentacles coming out of its head with look like eyes on the end of it. But where there would be a gigantic central, what you expect to be another eye, the socket appears to be slightly bloodied and reddened around the edge. And as you look, the central eyepiece is mechanical.
Okay.
It looks a bit like a steampunk clockwork clock. It does have an eye, an iris, but as you look it, when it moves around, it sort of opaques like a camera.
Okay.
Now, those of us who have played D&D before know beholders have a plus 12 to their perception checks.
Yep.
Oh, I've never met one of these before.
Because they're all eyes. Right, 27. As you four stand on the balcony looking down, one of the eyes of this creature, you can see it, looks up in your direction, and then another.
Guys, I think we've been spotted.
And the whole thing turns and looks at you. The camera eye sort of lenses like it's trying to focus at long distance. And its voice rings out across this room, across the sounds of machinery and mechanics and tapping away. Why, hello there.
Hello!
I can see you, you know.
We can see you too. You look lovely.
I'm sorry, you're quite a long way away. I can't hear you.
I'm going to sign language. Really bad something because I don't know something a bit.
It starts to float up towards you. It is floating up to your level. It is now sort of getting within about 100 feet of you and can now see you very clearly and is floating forwards. It is not even slightly scared of you.
Hello.
Cool.
Hello. Aren't you a delightful set of humanoids?
Well, thank
Looking
you very much.
All over. I've seen some of your kind, but not all.
Who are you?
My name is Chargask. Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you too.
I do not yet know if it is pleased to meet you or not.
It's always nice to make a new friend.
I can presume from this encounter that you are from the rebellion in Deriland that has decided to come back. Would I be right in that assumption?
We're from Deriland, yes.
You are correct in your assumption.
Fascinating. Then I'm afraid we do not reach on very positive terms. My
Aw.
apologies.
You know,
It's now floating
Friendship is-
closer and closer and closer. And it's big, like it's wide. It's a good, 10 foot wide. Like it is a big old beastie. Just floating ever closer to you, watching you, all of its eyes focusing on different ones of you briefly and then moving around. Its central one just sliding around over you. There's a faint whirring and clicking as the central eye moves.
can you eat?
Well, I do not require sustenance to exist, but I can, yes.
Would you like some shortbread?
I'm fine, thank you.
Does no one here eat?
What are you doing here? What are they doing with that machine?
I'm sorry to inform you that this machine will be going to your plane of existence and strip mining it of all of the ore left in Deriland.
But why?
Because we require it.
But why?
It has properties we require to make portal technology of our own.
And why do you need to do that?
To spread the word of Cthulhu.
And why that?
It is my divine duty to spread the word of Cthulhu. I do not know any other way.
It is nice for a young man to have a passion in life.
I've not been called a young man in quite some time, my thanks.
You You look lovely there. Not a wrinkle on you.
I also think you're working under a false premise.
I understand. That is why an introduction seemed polite.
Thank you, manners.
Once we have completed our machine, it will smash through the nexus until it reaches the crystal, which I understand is in the process of being purified.
Sounds rather violent.
At which point we will enter a portal into Deriland and destroy your world.
Oh my.
I
We will
would like
probably
to point
time-
out that you are still working under a false premise.
Understandable.
That you will still be alive to see this happen.
Mr. I.
Shelgask, please.
Oh, sorry. You know, I'm not good with names. The time and the man rather, confusing. You know, all this destructive energy. Is there something you want to talk about? Something that's, maybe upsetting you? Because sometimes when we want to hurt other people, actually the people we hurt the most are ourselves. And I think you wouldn't want to destroy our world if you just visited a lovely little tavern, had some heather tea, sat by the fire, had a little bit of downtime.
Please do not misunderstand me. The sentiment is valuable. But we are chasing magical mysteries beyond your ken. A simple cup of heather tea, while delicious, will never answer the questions the universe has to offer. I am a seeker of knowledge.
It's a good first step, though.
And I will find it. I apologize for your hurt.
Oh.
We will set the portal to go back before you traveled here.
Oh.
So you'll probably be killed at that point. The paradox will probably tear the multiverse slightly, but I think it is only just.
But all my friends that I've made on this journey, I don't want to lose them.
And bear in mind, it is likely that will also cause your tavern to crumble to dust.
Harvey steps up and casts banishment on the beholder.
As you cast banishment towards the beholder, its central eye winks slightly, and you guys see something very odd. As you reach out with the spell, you guys see Harvey retract backwards in time.
Oh no!
Reaches back with, and the spell is not cast anymore. And the central eye twitches back. From your perspective, nothing happened. From everyone else's perspective, you tried to cast a spell, and it was returned.
Oh dear.
So for reference, what are the cultists on the floor doing at the moment?
Building the
So they've
horrible
not been
engine of destruction.
They've been focused on that and not...
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Surprise, surprise, the supreme confidence of their leader that doesn't understand that it might be wrong is doing them some favours in this. An amusing...
That was unusual.
My powers go through time and space.
Oh dear.
So what do you wish to come from this? As I feel, as much as I'm loving this conversation, you are a delight to talk to.
My thanks.
What next? Is this we keep talking, it's pleasant, and you try to recruit us, or we have to fight, or what? Because I like options. I like having something to do.
I am surprised that your military leader here clearly does not know a distraction when he sees one.
Oh no!
At which point, again, in a strange time refractory way, he seems to wink out of existence, almost like shuttering back to the space he was beforehand, and reappear in it. At the same time, behind you in the corridor you just came down, there is a horrible animalistic raging and snarling, trapping you between it and the machine below. What would you like to do?
If it's raging, I'm gonna fucking rage.
You enter your rage, fine.
Again, Harvey would jump off the balcony and
Yep.
fly. Just sort of fly around. He's comfortable in the air again.
Getting into the air and flying. No
Yeah,
problem at all.
So, animalistic thing
Is behind you,
behind.
and in front of you is this open area with this machine being constructed.
I shall. Dottie's fairly tall,
Yes.
and you're fairly short.
Yeah.
Dottie, move.
You can always say please. It doesn't hurt to have a little, courtesy.
And then I will either jump over Dottie,
Lovely.
or I will jump through Dotty, depending on if Dotty arrives at the floor or not.
The floor?
Are you getting up?
Or
from the
moving
way?
up. Or
Oh,
sideways.
right, yeah. I mean, I move. I'm just a bit indignant at the tone.
I will allow the indignant realising what's happening and ducking as you leap over to stand in the corridor, I presume to be
Yes.
the first line of
The
defence, alongside your Dwarven Barbarian friend against
Exactly.
whatever's barrelling down this corridor, while the two of you on this balcony watch as Chuggask floats down to his people, ignoring you completely. Just working with them, advising on how to fix the machine, which is now being constructed fully.
I thought we had
While behind
something.
you, down this corridor, snarling in horrible ways, the corridor is being torn asunder. And a gigantic creature, its hands hooked and barbed, with two bickering heads, is tearing its way down this corridor towards you. You are trapped between the cult you've been trying to fight this entire time and the leader you've been looking for, and this horrible monster as it smashes its way down the corridor, and that's where we have to end this hour. Adventurers Wanted. Cliffhanger, thank you very much for joining us, much appreciated. If you enjoyed the show, please come back, or because the story keeps going, so you can find out what happens next. We have 3 more hours today, and then was it 8 more hours total over Saturday and Sunday to complete the story. Yes. We also would love you to help us spread the word about the show on social media, in person, whatever the kids do these days. We are on Twitter at Adventurers250, where our stage manager Nemo has been live tweeting the entire last hour, and along with our other stage manager Naomi has been live tweeting the entire 100 hours that we've been doing. So it's like an interactive novelette with GIFs you can catch up on throughout the month if you so choose to. We also stream everything at twitch.tv, which is through that webcam over there, so you can watch from the beginning as well. At the moment, you can't watch from the beginning as well because, frankly, the beginning is now off Twitch because they have a 2-week turnover and will be on YouTube relatively soon, but it isn't yet. So check back in September for the first couple hours, otherwise catch up from hour 10, I think, at some point. But yes, there will be hours leaving and coming back on Twitch that will all be on YouTube relatively soon. We want to spread tabletop role-playing in general, D&D as well, to a wider, more inclusive audience, which is a big part of the community, the D&D community at the moment, so we're very proud to be part of that. Because we're trying to expand it further to everybody, we also want to make sure other people can play, which is why 2 of our tickets at the table are player tickets. You can buy them from the box office, same cost as sitting in the room, and we introduce you to the concept of role-playing, as we have 2 players at the side here today, and want to make sure we spread the word and the gospel as much as we can. If that's as important to you as it is to us, we have a Patreon. Please give us money. Thank you. There is also a donate button if you don't fancy the commitment, and totally understandably. That's a lot of me talking. There are 4 lovely players to my left and right who played a wonderful hour of D&D. Thank you ever so much. Since we're about to finish, I'd like to give you all a second to plug something you're working on, either at the Fringe or at home, that might be of interest to a D&D crowd.
So I'm a member of London Gamers, which is an LGBT
Yes, it is.
gaming society. I am one of the officers of the World of Warcraft Guild,
Lovely.
which is based on Draenor EU Horde,
Lovely. Excellent.
called the Admiral Duncan.
Lovely. Check that out later. Thank you very much.
I write and draw things very slowly, which end up on my website at some point, so please have a look at that. It's macdermog.com. That's MacDermog.
Thank you very much. If you check out our website as well, you did some lovely fan art for us at the beginning, which is one of our poster images that we had a different design version of that you did, which is really great. You can find it on there. I have lots of spiky armour. I love it. Go for it, Dottie.
Dotty.
Kath. Sorry, Kath. Go for it.
Outside of the Fringe, I live in Edinburgh the other 11 months of the year. I do writing and performance poetry, if that is something that you are interested in. If it's something that you're not interested in, let me change your mind. My Facebook is really close to 500 likes. Please validate me. If you just go onto Facebook, it's Catherine Wilson Poetry.
Thanks.
And similar to Catherine, I do poetry as well. I do it based in London. So if anyone's into poetry and in London, go for that. But if anyone wants to talk about D&D stuff as well, I tweet a lot about that as well. So find me on Twitter to do that.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Much appreciated. Lovely. Well, that's it from us. Thank you so much for joining us. If we see you again, we look forward to seeing you again. If we don't see you again, enjoy the rest of your Fringe. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.